Welcome to the Books on Air podcast. I'm Suzanne Harris, and my listeners get the story behind every book. Joining me today is someone I cannot wait to talk to, and I can't wait to introduce you to. Wait till you hear the name of her book. Her name is Amy Rae Sedler, and she's here to talk about her book, Secrets of Skincare, an unconventional approach to healthy skin. Amy Rae, welcome to Books on Air. I just can't wait to talk to you.
Hi, Suzanne. Thank you so much for having me today.
You know, there are stories behind books, and so I'm really curious. You've been in the skincare business, and I'm doing air quotes with my fingers, for over 20 years. You are one of California's top estheticians. You work with movie stars and celebrities, and you get them ready for the red carpet. And so you have really been involved in this at a high level. Why did you decide to write a book and share your knowledge and your secrets with us?
Well, that's a good question. I had a really, really great spa in Beverly Hills and Pacific Palisades, and we were doing great. We were working with all the celebrities there, and then I actually found out that I was going to have a baby, and we kind of slowed down the spa, and I had somebody take over for me, and then COVID hit. So I was thinking, how can I get the information to help people when I can't be on top of them anymore over their face because of all the mandates, especially in Los Angeles? It's very strict there. So I had to figure out a way to get the information out to people to help them with the skin issues that are happening right now. There's an epidemic of skin problems, and I wanted to offer up some solutions that I know work. So I spent a lot of time during my pregnancy and breastfeeding writing this book and getting it to the point that it was able to be published.
There's a ton of information in the book. And if our listeners are like me, I have to say that I am overwhelmed whenever I start thinking about skincare. I don't have any real knowledge. I'm one of those just normal women who wants my face to look good, wants my skin to look good, wants my hair to be healthy. But the next commercial that comes up and promises me that I'm going to look younger and better and slimmer and richer if I use their product, I fall for it because I don't know what to do and I don't know what not to do. That's what I really saw in your book, and your approach is very unique. Let's give our listeners an overview of your approach.
That what you just said, Suzanne, is exactly what I wrote the book for. Is I feel like there's so much. There's not a lot of transparency in the beauty industry. There's a lot of people that want to cash in on innocent people that just believe words like natural or holistic or, you can make a product that is 70% organic and then 30% toxic, and you can call it organic because of the 70%. So wow. Meanwhile, we're slathering these skincare products all over our largest organ, which is our skin. A lot of people don't know our skin's an organ, so they don't really look at it that way. And I wanted to just bring forth truth so people could see, this chemical that's in your $300 cream is actually causing aging in the long run because your other detox organs are going to have to filter out those toxins. So my book is about a lot about the truth, about the products that we're using, about hydration, the foods that we're eating that are healing or harming our skin. A lot of people don't understand that these little simple things can really make huge impacts on our skin health. And so we're believing these doctors or dermatologists that want to write a prescription or do something that's not beneficial for the skin.
And there's so much to it. I mean, how did you put this together? This just covers so much. I know that you've done not only personal research and that you have the experience with hands-on, if you'll pardon the expression, but this is just so wonderful. I mean, there are 20 chapters in the book, and they deal with different kinds of things. And you and I, before we came on, were talking about hydration. And I shared a story with you that's just happened to me. Hydration is hard for people. I tend to write curriculum. That's one of the other jobs that I have besides, fortunately, interviewing wonderful authors. And so I'll find myself getting lost in research, and I'll find myself getting lost in putting things together, and I'll forget to drink. So I got sick. I got a little upper respiratory infection and took an antibiotic Z-Pak. And I know that those antibiotics just suck so much out of your system. I thought, all right, you've got to increase your hydration. So I really, really upped it. And can't believe the difference in the way my skin looks, the way my eyes feel, the way everything feels different. So let's talk about hydration, because it's on my mind right now, obviously.
Yes, yeah, it's one of the most important things with skin health, and it's very overlooked. It was a really, really good idea for you to drink that water, because what it also did is it helped flush out all the antibiotics out of your system. So we're keeping the clean water flushing through our system, and I have a chapter in the book called "Are You a Raisin or a Grape?" And if we look at, if we look at a raisin that has lost all its hydration, it's shriveled up. It's a little raisin that is not plump and taut like a grape that's full of living, hydrating water. And one of the things that I talk about in my water section of the book is all water is not equal. So even though we're drinking water, we could be drinking tons of water and we're not actually getting hydrated, because all water is not created equally. We have all of these new methods of alkalizing water, which they use these electromagnetic machines that they're now proving that it's bad for your heart and it's not actually hydrating you. So we have to go back to nature with everything. My book is all very simple. We're going back to the basics because it's what works. It's what's worked forever. And then we try to make up these new ways that can be harmful because our body doesn't recognize what it is. So if we go back to natural spring water that's flowing and it's living water, which is very difficult now. I mean, we can't go to the source and bottle our own water, which would be really wonderful.
Right.
So I wish we could do that. So we have to think of ways to make sure we're buying, natural spring water and water that's coming from good sources, or getting our own systems in our homes that can mimic the natural flow of water and things like that. So we just have to think back to how nature originally intended for us to absorb water and hydrate us. Because spring water actually has a pH level of about 7 to 8, where when they're alkalizing these waters, they're at 9, sometimes 10, and that's just too over-alkalizing for the system. So there's all that information is in the book. It's really interesting, and it's a lot of things that people don't think of, but it matters. It matters for skin health.
The pandemic, I think, has probably exacerbated people's stress levels to a tremendous degree. How do you think that level of stress has impacted people's skin?
Oh, incredibly. And it's something you probably wouldn't even think of how it impacts it. So when we're super stressed out, we're actually creating stress hormones like cortisol and other hormones that then our liver has to actually filter those hormones. And when our liver is bogged down, I talk a lot about the liver in my book, and it's actually my second book that I'm working on is going to be really focused on the liver health. Our liver is so important, and it's the number one organ for our skin health. And when we clean up our livers, our skin just glows. I've seen it over and over again. We have so much burden on our livers from stress hormones, from toxins in our food, in our products, and then on top of it, all the stress. So keeping our stress levels down is really important for skin health. That's why when you're all stressed out, you look stressed out. It's
Good
not
point.
it's a real thing.
I'm still back at the grazing and the grape. That's just, I love that. So
put a grape in a glass of water and watch it. It'll plump right back up. And that's kind of what happens to us.
I love it. Exercise. We all know we should exercise. We all know that exercise is so good for our body, our mental health, et cetera, et cetera. What kind of positive impacts does exercise have on our skin?
Well, that's a great question. I talk in the book about how important exercise is, but we don't want to overdo it where we're like causing too much stress in the body. When we exercise, we actually increase our blood flow. So when we increase blood flow, we promote healing. And that's why after a nice workout, your cheeks are all, red and glowy because you've increased your blood flow, and then your skin health really benefits from increased blood flow. So when you have a nice, healthy blood flow from a nice workout, your skin is definitely going to benefit from that. It's going to have a lot of nutrients coming to the surface, which is what we want.
Well, you pulled me right in with Chapter 12, Secret Treatments That Work.
Yes.
I love that. What are some examples of some things that we might not think about that would work, that are your, quote, secret treatments?
So, again, my book is very holistic. So they're all non-invasive, really fun things that you can do at home. Like I talk about gua sha, which is it's one of my favorite at-home treatments. I like to lie in bed at night and after, I'll take a nice hot bath, I'll get my gua sha tool, it's a tool, and it has like a flat edge. And what you're doing is you're pulling it upwards on your face, your neck, and you're promoting blood flow, and you're stimulating tissue, which also promotes healing. It removes toxins. It just gets everything flowing. I've seen amazing results on my own skin and doing gua sha on my clients. It's just a fun treatment you can do at home. You can actually get a gua sha treatment incorporated into a facial. Some facialists do gua sha. I did do it in my spa. There's gua sha is wonderful. There's microneedling. I love you can do a professional version of microneedling in like a medical spa, or you could do your own microneedling at home where you can use a roller. And they have like a Dr. Pen now with an electric microneedle. And these are just little treatments that you can do at home that will stimulate new cell turnover. Anytime we wound the skin, so to speak, we're creating a wound response. So our skin will go into like a healing mode. If you get a cut or a scratch, your cells are going to speed up their healing. So when we wound our skin in I like to do very light wounding, like very light microneedling, very light gua sha, and do it often so we have a constant stimulation of new cells turning over. So those are two really great secret treatments like you could do at home. You can get a professional version or your at-home version, and I even have instructions on how to do those. There's facial cupping. You can use these little suction cups to pull the blood to the surface of the skin. There's a lot of fun stuff in there that I think people will really enjoy.
Now, we all know that food is a part of all this. I mean, our body is a system, and so everything that we do, everything that we put in our mouth, all of those kinds of things impact. And you have a chapter about juices and smoothies for glowing skin. Tell me a little bit about the skin food connection.
Well, I believe that food is pretty much most of skincare. I think that's why I was so successful in my practice is people would come to me after going, to every dermatologist, doctors. They had tried everything and they had heard of me, and they would come, and immediately I would recognize like a gluten intolerance or a dairy intolerance, which those are very real things. People are suffering from digestive disorders because of their diet. And when our digestion is not functioning, our skin really pays the price. So I would change people's diets, and within 2 weeks we can see like acne, inflammation disappear. Eating living foods full of living water and I call them high vibrational foods, which I know a lot of people think that sounds silly, but when we're eating food that's alive, that it's not dead, it's living, and we're putting that into our bodies, we become alive. We become living and full of life. And I believe that that's how food was intended to be, not processed and dead, because it makes us, it can affect our mood. It can affect our hormones, our fertility. It affects every aspect of our life. And our skin is just like a watchman of what is happening on the inside of our body. So we can really use our skin to say, hey, my cheeks are really red and inflamed. Maybe I need to cut back on inflammatory foods, or I have a horrible breakout. Maybe I'm eating too much dairy. And that's what I do. I actually do consultations now through video. I do video consultations and just help people figure out what they're doing with their diets and their products. And it's such a simple tweak in lifestyle, and huge changes happen. It's so simple. So I really am passionate about helping people because there's so much suffering happening right now. There's an epidemic of skin rashes, and the food can really help heal. One of the things, I know I'm talking a lot here.
It's okay.
One of the things is celery juice. Actually, Anthony Williams, who the medical medium, who I love him very much. He is who brought celery juice. He's also published with the same. He's also published with the same publisher as I am. He brought the celery juice. I mean, if you see people who are from head to toe covered with psoriasis, and within a month of drinking celery juice every morning, it is gone. I mean, it's cleared up, because what's happening is we have these viral loads in our body, and a lot of skin disorders are viral. And when we start drinking the celery, the mineral salts actually kill the virus and clean up the system, because salts, it's like a washing machine in your stomach with all these mineral salts. That's how I like to see it. Yeah, so food is so important. I get really passionate about the food because it's the number one thing.
I love your images, and I love the holistic approach, and your passion and your excitement and your enthusiasm for what you're talking about is so evident. I can't imagine that anyone who is listening to us right now is not ready to get a copy of the book. Now, let's talk about where they can find it. One of the main places that they can find it is on your own website, right?
That's right. My website is amyraysedlar.com, and you can purchase the book on there. I also, I don't know if I mentioned, I teach a live class. So Secrets of Skincare Live, you can sign up on my website for that class, and I'm going to open the pages of my book. It's a 4-hour live, it's interactive. I'll have a model to show you some of the fun secret treatments.
I love it. Great idea.
Yeah. So that's all on the website. And you can also get it anywhere books are sold. It's available everywhere.
I know it's available on Amazon. All they would really have to do, let me give the specific title of the book, and let me spell your name so they can find you. The specific title of the book, again, is Secrets of Skincare, an Unconventional Approach to Healthy Skin, by Amy, A-M-Y. Second word is Ray, R-A-E, and last name is Sedler, S-E-D-L-E-R. You could put Amy Ray's name in Google, and I'm sure that all kinds of places to find the book would come up. You've told me it's available at Target. Where else did you say, Amy Ray?
It's Barnes and Noble, Target, Walmart. Yeah, I actually went on there to search, and I was like, wow, it's everywhere. It's great. I'm really excited about that.
And if we have some Amazon fans, they can also find you on Amazon. It'll be right there. Now, I just think I love what your philosophy is. I love the idea of the holistic approach, because you're right. You know, what we put in and what we do to our bodies is going to affect everything about us, our skin, our hair, and we don't think about that. We just sort of go through our life because we don't have the information, or we've never had the opportunity to talk with someone like you who has that expertise. And so we just sort of go through life. Now, if you could sit down with our listeners, who I hope will become readers, and pick up a copy of the book. And here's how I see the book. I see someone buying the book, but they'll never get rid of the book. They will keep it as a source of information and as a resource that they'll go to over and over and over again. So they probably would never sit down and read the book cover to cover. They would probably read it in snatches. But they're going to read the book and probably absorb the book from cover to cover, because there will always be something that they're looking for. When they do that, when they become that reader and that user of the book as a resource, what's the main thing that you really want them to take away, Amy Ray?
You know, the main thing that I want people to take away from this book is that having healthy skin is not about having beautiful skin is not just about vanity, or, you know, how perfect you look, or being flawless. It's about being healthy and glowing, and anyone at any age can have that. It doesn't matter where you are currently with your skin health. There are answers, and you can have improvement. And I feel like this book is the road to that. It's a really great introduction for someone who has not ever known about this way of living, and just becoming conscious and caring about what you put in your body and what you put on your body. And I feel like people will take away a lot of really valuable information from this book, that it's a beauty light that comes on inside of you. And anyone can have that glow, anyone.
I like that a lot. Now, I know that you mentioned that there's a second book in the works. Tell me a little bit about the new book.
So the new book it's a little more technical. I'm going to be talking a lot about the liver. It's actually really focused on the liver health, because I've learned so much too, just really doing even more research. I mean, most of my information came from trial and error of 20 years, you know, working on clients and seeing what worked. In the beginning of my career, I worked with a lot of doctors who were very medical. And I would argue with them that, you know, why are we putting these chemicals on people's face and then their livers have to filter that? And, you know, I just intuitively, it never made sense. So this next book is really technical. It's about liver health. And when we clean up the liver, like I always say, miracles can happen with the skin.
Well, I know that you and I could sit here and talk for hours, because your knowledge is so vast and the book has so much information in it. I'm sorry to have to say our time is up, but this has just been not only delightful, because you're such a delightful person, and when the when our listeners go to your website, or they go to Amazon, or they see your picture, they will know that you literally walk your talk. You are a lovely woman. And you keep talking about be doing this for 20 years, and I'm thinking to myself, she looks 20. So,
Thank you.
Well, that's a high compliment. I mean, you truly do, obviously, walk your talk. And this has just been delightful. Thank you so much for joining me on Books on Air.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Now, remember, you can find Amy Ray Sedler's book on her website and on Amazon and Target and all kinds of places. So put her name in, AMYRAESEDLER, and the title of the book, Secrets of Skin Care, an Unconventional Approach to Healthy Skin. You've been listening to the Books on Air podcast, brought to you on webtalkradio.net. You can also hear this podcast on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I'm Suzanne Harris, and I hope you'll join me for our next Books on Air podcast, because remember, you never know who we're going to talk to, and you never know what we're going to talk about. Thank you so very much for listening.